Aloha, Penn Nation, what is up? You are now tuned into yet another edition of BJPenn.com radio. As always, guys, I'm your host, Jay Kinch. Pleasure to be here with you each and every week. This is episode 71. We've got a great show, a bunch of guests, a ton of stuff to get to. Very happy to be here. BJPenn.com radio, we are live each and every Wednesday, sometimes Thursday, but this week, it's Wednesday again. 9 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Pacific. We continue to bring you guys the best possible show every week. Awesome guests, great conversations. BJPenn.com radio, we are the fighter's voice. We give these athletes a platform to speak their hearts and minds without bias. We try to encourage these great, candid conversations, get to know all of these athletes, because one thing we know for sure is mixed martial arts is all about personalities. So, that being said, we're the fighter's voice. You guys have seen the hashtag. You know what we're all about. We're also the voice of you guys, the fans. We greatly appreciate all the love and support, Penn Nation. Keep it up. Make sure you bookmark us. Follow us on all the various social media. Stay up to date on the sport that we all love in mixed martial arts. We've got a ton of exclusive content. Really cool things on the horizon that I cannot speak about, but awesome stuff in the works. All the breaking news, you guys already know that. Hot topics, viral videos. Everything that you crave from the sport that you love in mixed martial arts, BJPenn.com, we have got you covered, guys. So, tonight's guest list. We've got a stacked show. We've got 4 guests, a lot of people to get to. First up, coming off of his dominant win at UFC 221 in Perth, Australia, Alexander the Great Volkanovski ground and pounded Jeremy Kennedy to a pulp, for lack of a better word. I mean, his face wasn't terribly busted up, but man, those body shots were serious. So we're going to recap the win with him, talk about what's next. Always a pleasure to speak with him. You guys know him. You've heard him on the show several times. He's trying to be the baby face in a landscape full of heels at this point in the sport. Got to give the guy a ton of props for that, and considering his athleticism that he's been showing inside the octagon, future is very bright for Alexander Volkanovski. Great convo with him. You guys will enjoy it, I'm sure. Second guest of the evening. This man is coming off of some crazy contract disputes. His future was very uncertain. Was possibly contemplating retirement at not too long ago. But now he's got a fight, taking it on 4 weeks' notice, coming up in London against Kajan Johnson. Returning to the show, Stevie the Braveheart Ray. We're going to preview the fight, discuss the matchup with Kajan, and of course get into all the juicy details. Well, not that juicy, but we'll get into all the details with the contract issues, changing management, and you'll hear him talk about it. Pretty much a blessing in disguise for this guy. So, good convo with him as well. Third guest of the evening. No fight announced yet, but he is coming off of a win over Drakkar Klose. Kickboxing sensation that has joined the UFC. 4-0 so far within the promotion. David Teymur. We speak with him from Sweden, and apparently he was by the woods, so we have a bit of a connection issue there, and quite frankly with Alexander Volkanovski as well. Calling these guys from across the globe, the signal isn't always the best. So bear with us on that one. Good convo with him nonetheless. Just a little bit of audio interference. But regardless, great conversation with him. Very promising character at 155 as well. And closing out tonight's show, he's coming off of another big win over the weekend on Sunday, UFC Austin. James the Executioner Vick gets the unanimous decision over Francisco Trinaldo. Landed some very flashy stuff, looked great out there. We're going to recap that win with him, talk about what's next. You guys have heard it on the show many times. The man cannot get a fight, and he's quite frustrated with the top 15, top 10 at 155. So you can be sure he's going to have a lot to say about that. Landed landed Sweet Chin Music, the Heartbreak Kid, Shawn Michaels. Landed a side kick to the face, reminiscent of Sweet Chin Music. Very cool stuff. We'll talk about all that and much more with James. Great show. Like I said, it's a stacked one. However, for sake of time, I don't think I'm going to get into any news. Obviously, you guys saw the card. It was a great one. UFC Austin. We saw Matt Mitrione get the win over Roy Nelson in Bellator. Tons of stuff I could talk about. A fair amount of news as well. But again, for the sake of time, we've got a long show tonight. I'm just going to keep it rolling. One thing I do want to say, though, I will not touch this politically or give an opinion on this in any manner. But I will say, from everybody at bjpenn.com, our hearts go out to the families and all the loved ones of this tragic situation in Parkland, Florida, with the school shooting. So, man, again, our hearts go out to everybody that was affected. Much love to all the heroes that put their lives on the line to save some children in this terrible situation. And again, I'm not going to touch this politically whatsoever, but I just would like to give my condolences to the families involved. So yeah, man. I know that was a somber note. I tend to do this. I hope you guys up for a great show, and then I bring you low with some tragic news. But listen, we do have an awesome show for you tonight. We're gonna get right into it. First guest of the evening, coming up next. Ground and pound, athletic animal, bashing machine from Australia, Alexander the Great Volkanovski. This is BJPenn.com radio. I'm your host, Jay Kinch. Coming up next, Alex Volkanovski. All right, Penn Nation, please welcome back to the show. Coming off his 14th straight victory, putting it to 4-0 in the UFC. Of course, I'm talking about Alexander the Great Volkanovski. Congrats, man. Very impressive win. You must be very pleased with the outcome of that fight.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, it's always good to get the win in the UFC, but against someone that's bringing out the UFC, and people were talking it up that this is going to be a battle, and to beat him at his own game like I did, it went well.
So do you feel like you kind of stole some of that momentum and hype that was being built up behind him and put the stop to that, maybe took it for your own now?
Yeah, definitely. There was a lot of people that had eyes on him, you know what I mean? Like, he might not have the best style, the crazy style, but, people knew that he was a threat in the division just purely because he's a grinder, and, no one likes to fight fit guys that are just going to, blanket you and just, hold you down, and because they're so fit, they're hard to fight. And I'm like that myself, where it comes to pressure and sort of grinding style, but I like to be a little bit more vicious with my approach than him. So like I said, there was a few eyes on him. A lot of people thought he's probably going to make it to the top, and I literally made it look easy in there. I don't like to talk myself up like that, but you know what I mean? It went pretty smoothly for me, that's for sure.
Yeah, I'd say so, man. Listen, I remember last time we spoke, you had talked about how he was that grinder style, but you were not going to be outworked, and you still maintain that you are probably the best athlete in the division when it comes to cardio and pressure and being able to grind a guy out like that. You beat him at his own game, but I mean, man, do you think you put the rest of the division on notice as to why you are that big deal when it comes to athleticism and that grinding style?
Oh, 100%. I definitely think a lot of people, no one wants to fight a guy like that. Again, I'm beating people at their own game. I've fought a couple of pressure fighters and I've just, put it on them. So, you know what I mean? They're the type of grinders that, again, like I said, no one likes to face these guys, but, I'm making it look easy out there, you know what I mean? And I'm still, I haven't really got to show my striking. Every time I think I'm going to strike with someone, I'm just way too strong and I end up pounding them out. So I just stick to that, if you know what I mean.
Right.
And you know, it was just a lot bigger, a lot better for me, where I had a bit of a better camp for me as well. So that's why a lot of people are like, oh, you look good out there. You know, I think I might have told you this last time. I haven't had a good camp in the UFC, and to be honest with you, you know, this camp still wasn't perfect. You know, I tore my LCL, a grade 2 tear on my LCL 10 weeks before the fight, and that had me out like for about 2 weeks in a big knee brace, and like, you know, another 2 weeks after. So it wasn't like till 6 weeks I could start wrestling and things like that. But I was able to at least keep fit, work core strength, and do things like that. That made me still feel really strong out there. And then in that 6 weeks, I really put in the hard work. I was fit. I was in some good nick. So, you know, I was always going to be a tough fight. So, you know, this is, again, not a perfect camp, but, you know, I mean, it was a lot better. And you've seen that how much I improved and looked how much better I looked, and stronger and fitter and just everything. So you can imagine, you know, I'm going to keep training right now. And once I get a full camp, mate, I'm going to be a whole nother beast.
Well, so a couple of very interesting points there. I know that the last time we spoke, you talked about how this was probably the best camp you've had since you've been in the UFC. You were very happy with it so far, but I believe that was maybe a week or two before the fight. However, you're telling me that you tore your ACL 10 weeks out, and what was there surgery involved? I mean, you're saying knee brace there. That sounds like a really quick turnaround to get back on the mats and get ready for a fight.
Yeah. Now, not ACL, LCL.
Okay,
LCL. So, you know, out of the ACL, it's pretty serious. LCL, out of the knees, that's probably the best one to do. So I sort of got lucky there. But I mean, I just done it and then got asked about the fight. And I was like, man, what do I do? Because I had to go to my physio and talk to them. And then he goes, look, well, you know, we could probably get you back to doing everything in 4 or 5 weeks, like everything, wrestling and that. But I mean, you'll be able to start to do stuff here. And it started recovering really quick. So we had him in the knee brace just so we could hold on, you know what I mean? So we didn't want to keep moving it too much and things like that. We didn't want to stretch it right out and not let it heal. So we've done a couple of weeks of keeping it pretty still so we could do that and then just have rehab. And like I said, I was in a knee brace in the gym doing the skis and, you know, whatever I could do, you know what I mean? Like just upper body stuff, and sometimes these things got to be done so you can fight.
Yeah, okay. Wow, all right, for a second there, when I thought you said ACL, I was like, holy shit, man, what are you, superhuman?
Yeah.
So listen, when it comes to the fight, though, obviously I'm glad that everything worked out and you got to put on such a great performance in front of all of your fans. The headlines this week had read, brutalizes, demolishes Jeremy Kennedy, so forth. I think you made a really big statement there for the rest of the division, but have you had a chance to watch the fight? And if so, do you think that that performance was that dominant in your own opinion?
Yeah, I usually watch the fights a couple of times after. Yeah, it was definitely dominant, but again, like obviously I know I can do a lot better as well. You know what I mean? I didn't really get a chance to show the striking because I knew he was going to try and look for the takedown, so I was a bit more hesitant on the feet. Just trying to give him a few different looks before I come in, and it just end up like, you know, he would come for a takedown and I'll just throw him down and then end up pounding him. So I still didn't get to show much, but I got to show people that you don't want me on top of you, that's for sure. If I'm going to be on top of you on the ground, you know, be prepared to get your head squashed between my fist and the canvas.
It was again, man. I mean, just the body shots alone. I mean, Jimmy Smith and John Anik. I mean, they were both comparing you to Khabib in there. That must be a huge confidence booster for you to hear guys talk about you like that.
Yeah, definitely. Well, you know, Khabib is an incredible athlete, and what he's doing is huge. So for now, I'm very happy with people doing that. But soon, I want to be my own. You know, I want to be, oh man, that's Volkanovski ground and pound. You know what I mean? So
yeah.
Again, Khabib's control is just unbelievable. But I believe I put a little bit more power in my shots. I posture up and throw bigger bombs. So I believe I got a little bit different. But I'm definitely happy with that comparison. That's for sure.
Yeah, I mean, obviously that's a huge compliment in this sport, in this day and age right now with everything we've seen Khabib that he's been able to do. But, you know, I mentioned the body shots and how they sounded like gunshots there. You were talking about how powerful those blows were. he just seemed to just give up right there? I mean, do you think you broke his will before that, or were those body shots the point where this guy said, I'm done with this, I'm going to curl up and let him finish me?
Well, he was tough and he kept going through, but I seen in his eyes from the start. Almost, he grabbed the single leg, he had the single leg wrapped up pretty good, and just had his chin on my shoulder, broke the grips, threw him around, and then even then, I remember just giving him not a smirk again. I'm not a cheeky, sort of a smart ass type of fighter, but I was just like, man, like I looked at him like, oh, I'm too strong for you, mate. Like I literally, even for me, I was just like, that's it. I'm too strong, you're done. And then even when I was on top, and even when he gets up, like I said, I did watch the tapes, and he gets up, and you could just see he's like, what have I got myself into? And that's what's going to happen every time these guys come in with me. They're going to say, oh yeah, they're going to think they got me figured out, which everyone does. And then once I'm in front of them, they're just like, oh shit, the pressure's always more than they expected. The power's always more than they expected. And then just the different looks is just always a bit more difficult than they expected as well. I'm going to get, like I said, I'm getting better and better every day. So expect a whole other beast next fight. You know what I mean? I'm still sort of new to this sport. People forget that. And, I'm prepared to put the work in now. I can actually train and get better. Last few fights I've been injured, have to recover in the camp, and then just get fit enough for the fight. I've done that for the last 3 fights. So now I get to actually, I don't have any injuries, nothing major, just the same injuries that I went before the fight. And now I get to get better. So now I can do it a month or 2 or whatever I need to do, or just, leveling up and then get prepared for a fight. And, mate, that's scary. I believe that's very scary.
I'd say so, man. Based on everything you've told me and your performances so far, I would hate to see, I would love to see what you look like at 100%. I would hate to be the guy across the cage from that. But all of these things considered, man, I know we've talked about it in length before, but come on, you've got to get a ranked opponent next, right?
Definitely. No, I haven't lost a round in the UFC. I literally have not lost a round. A lot of them rounds that I've won have been, you could say the 10-8 rounds as well. So, you know what I mean? 50% of my rounds are 10-8 rounds. So, completely dominating. So I'm barely copping any damage in any of my fights, and I'm just handing out some, pretty good beatings. You know what I mean? So they need to give me some ranked opponents. Names would be good.
So I know you've done, you've kind of crowned yourself the bad guy hunter, the good guy hunting all the bad guys in the division. Do you have any opponents in mind at this point? Is there anybody that sticks out for you as that bad guy that you think you deserve to fight next?
Look, I would like anyone in the top 10 or top 15, whatever it needs to be. But again, the guys that just like to talk. So, obviously Jeremy Stevens got a big fight coming. He's way up there. I'm not expecting to get that fight straight away. I would take it 100%. But guys like that, they're probably this is where after I said that, I pulled out Andre Feely and Jeremy Stevens.
Right.
And I just remember. Yeah, so I said, I want the bullies, I want the guys that like to talk and all that. So I sort of threw a couple of words in and then a couple of names, and then people sort of took it to heart. Well, Andre Feely ended up going, oh, yeah, I've always stuck up for the underdog. Go fuck yourself and this and stuff like that. But, you know what I mean? He took it personal, which, really, I don't really care. Supposedly, I didn't know, but supposedly, he does all the charity work and all this sort of stuff, and once I got told that, oh, my bad, I probably got that wrong. But I'm talking about the guys that like to talk. You know what I mean? All I know, I don't know him personally. You know what I mean? I don't know him. He expects me to just stand on his Facebook and know, or his Twitter and just know these things. All I see sometimes him calling someone out and having little Twitter beefs with everyone. So that's, that's the stuff that hits the media, and that's the stuff that I see. And that's why I thought, he talks a bit. And then there's a bit thing where supposedly he didn't take the fight, and then he's going, oh yeah, I didn't get off with that one, I'll fuck them all up anyway. And there's stuff like that, little things like that. These are the guys I want. I know, you know what I mean? Like, I don't mean this in a bad way, but I know gangsters and that do charity work. Right. Doesn't mean you don't like to talk a big, you know what I mean? So, you know what I mean? There's people out there killing people and they do charity work. So,
that's funny.
You know what I mean? Look good on him. I respect him for doing that. But at the same time, you want to run your mouth, I'll shut it up.
Dude, you make a great point. I know my buddy's father was president of a bike club, and they were pretty close to Hell's Angels out here where I live. and every year they do this charity run for Toys for Tots, and they give toys to needy children, and they all ride up on their bikes with all their colors on, and I know what you mean, man. Gangsters can do charity too. So that's funny. That's funny. So Andre Feely, obviously, that's a possibility at this point. Jeremy Stevens, he's matched up with Josh Emmett. That's going down this weekend. Who are you picking in that fight?
It's going to be a good fight. I think Josh Emmett can do it. With Jeremy Stevens, he's powerful and all that sort of stuff. He's starting, when it comes to his power shots and that, I just think it's a little one-dimensional. I don't believe he sets up too well or anything like he throws some big bombs. But Emmett's got some good lateral movement and he's pretty smart. So he's got a good broken rhythm, and I think he can catch him. But or he won't get touched and just sort of it's a 5-rounder. So
all right.
I've actually thought this the last couple of fights, and Jeremy Stevens has ended up taking the win. So good on him for that. So he is improving, but I think Josh Emmett will do it.
Yeah, definitely should be a good one. And obviously, both those names would be good for you to match up moving forward. Maybe you're not quite there, but I'd imagine in the next couple fights that should totally be a reality. But what's the timetable here, man? Last time we spoke, you said that you wanted to fight in the United States. If I'm not mistaken, is there a card in particular that you're eyeing, or is there a specific amount of time that you'd like to take off at this point?
Yeah, well, I don't need to take time off. Obviously going straight in the camp, if I knew there was one straight away, I probably would jump straight into it. I probably would, but I'd make sure the money's right, sort of thing. Well, actually, because there's a bit fight with getting thrown around. He's struggling to get an opponent for a while, even though he's only had the 2 fights in the UFC. Obviously, he's a lot of people were scared to fight him. So I was like, when we looked at him, we're like, oh yeah, this could be we could play the game here and maybe get a bit of we thought maybe they'd be desperate and try and get a bit of money for it, but they ended up getting something anyway. So that would have been good to have a big card, but that's all good. Maybe May or June or something like that. We're looking at getting something. So I'll have a month or something of getting better, improving, pressure off, and then straight back into it if I can over there in the US.
Cool, man. So Vegas, clearly that would be the ideal fight for you. New York, I mean, which state, which venue would be most important for you to compete in your career at this point?
Anywhere in America, I think. I just need to start branching out and start getting the name out there. You know what I mean? So a few people tuned into the card, so there was a few people that had never seen me before that got to watch me fight. My last fight, and no impressed, but I want more eyes over there on me. So getting those Indian cards over there in America would be good.
You kind of transitioned to my next question perfectly here. You got a huge reaction from the crowd, obviously, the Aussie fans, but the UFC might try to build you a bit more over there. I mean, do you think that's a possibility, or are you looking to just broaden horizons from this point on? And do you think the UFC recognizes that marketability that you have?
Yeah, I think they definitely know I can go far in this country. We're already in talks, and they know that we want to fight over there in America, and they're happy to jump on board. So you'll be seeing me over there, that's for sure. But nothing's being thrown out there right just yet. But I'll definitely be over there. But they're gonna. I'm sure that they'll start to really market me a bit more and get things going. Because again, 4-0 in the UFC, haven't lost around. You know what I mean? Like, it's looking good. It's looking promising for me. So I think everyone understands that, and everyone's gonna jump on the hype train.
Yeah, I agree with you, man. And I've told you many times in our conversations that I do think you deserve that push, and you are very marketable, especially to contrast the era of trash talk that we're in right now. It's always good to have a baby face in that crowd as well. But to stay on the Aussie fans here for a moment, what was up with that boot chugging thing? Like out of that guy's shoe, I believe it was Tiavasa.
Yeah, the shoey. Yeah, we call them shoeys. Yeah, it's just, man, honestly, like he said, it's an everyday thing here in Australia. So I actually thought it's everywhere in the world now. But mate, there's not a party or a festival or even a nightclub where there's not a shoe. So, you know what I mean? Every time. So well, I'm glad he done it, because now people know what it is. I literally think that. I remember Post Malone done a concert and he done a shoe. So he must have got found out what it's all about. And yeah, he grabbed his own shoe or someone's shoe and sold a beer at one of his concerts. So,
he got the memo.
It's starting to get out there now. So it's the shoey.
Wow, that is amazing.
The shoey.
That is too funny. And just to stay on the card for a moment, what did you think of the eye gouging from Ling Jiang there? That was pretty crazy.
Yeah,
what were your thoughts on that?
Yeah, that was savage. That wasn't just a little eye poke. That was literally, let's rip his freaking eye out. I couldn't believe that. And it was funny because the ref even pulled his arm. I could see him doing it. But whether he just thought he was just trying to, mate, I think he knew exactly what that was and exactly what he was doing. So that was dirty, man. That was pretty dirty.
Yeah, that's.
But I mean, when you're in a deep submission, it was in a submission, wasn't it?
Yeah, he had a guillotine. Jake had a guillotine on him.
Yeah, maybe, you know what I mean? Like, you're desperate, you start to get desperate, start to throw things. So I guess that's all right, but it's not really all right. It's pretty dirty, but at least it wasn't him on top ground and pound and then decides to give him a good eye gouge.
Well,
more of a defense mechanism.
I had said it at that point in the card. It seems like the UFC can't manage to get through an event without some kind of controversy, and that card was doing all right up until that point. I said, oh, there it is, but I definitely think there should have been something done by the referee there. One of those kind of jaw-dropping fouls that we've seen in recent years. But listen, man, you've been more than generous with your time, as always. Great conversation. Always enjoy speaking with you. I guess before we wrap things up here, who's next on the Bad Guy Bashing Tour? If you got to handpick somebody, would it be Stevens or would it be somebody else?
Probably Andre Feely. He'd be back and he'd probably get fucked myself. So I want him.
Okay. All right, so Andre Feely would be. And what can all the Alexander the Great fans expect from you in 2018? How many times are you going to compete? And will you be in the top 5 before the end of the year?
Yeah, I'm going to be up there. I want to fight regularly. So, I get another three big wins this year. I mean, that's, what's that? That's going to be 7 wins on the trot. So, you definitely can see me right up there by the end of the year. So that's definitely the plans. And, fingers crossed, no injuries. I've had some pretty bad luck here in the UFC, but mate, if I can stay in good nick all year round, you're going to be seeing some big performances, big fights, big finishes, and you're going to see me right up there by the end of the year.
All right, man. Certainly looking forward to it. I also look forward to the Game of Thrones music hitting that arena once again, and you coming out to lay the smackdown on somebody. Again, greatly appreciate the time, my brother. Hope we can catch up again soon. You have a wonderful morning across the globe.
No worries. Thanks for having me, champ.
So there you have it, folks. Like I called him, the Aussie bashing machine, Alexander the Great Volkanovski. Again, my apologies with the audio issues there, but this is something we need to work around, and we get there. We continuously improve, and like I said, there's some really cool things on the horizon with bjpen.com, which I cannot talk about, but you know what it is. Great convo with him. Can't say enough about the guy. Bright future. And again, you heard us talk about the athleticism there. Given his background in rugby, where he comes from as an athlete, what he brings to the cage as far as pace and cardio goes is going to be very difficult for anybody to deal with. So I really hope that he gets a top 15 guy in featherweight moving forward, and he can really show his skills. You heard him talk about there. He's not even had an opportunity to show his striking off. So very cool stuff. Greatly appreciate the conversation with Alex. Coming up next, we talked about it a bit. Contract issues, new management, was possibly going to retire, but within all of this, opened a gym and now has some supplemental income. Could have been a blessing in disguise. We'll see when he finally fights Kajan Johnson in London. Stevie, the Braveheart, Ray. All right, Penn Nation, please welcome back to the show the Braveheart himself, Stevie Ray. What's going on, brother? I know you've had a pretty crazy 2018, but aside from all the stuff that we'll get to in a moment, how is life treating you right now?
Yeah, life's really good now. Yeah, I've started coaching my own kind of place. I've got a little place, Braveheart MMA. So I'm really enjoying coaching there, and obviously, yeah, now I've got my contract, so over the moon with that as well.
Awesome, man. So,
yeah,
tell me about the coaching thing. I mean, was this something that you were kind of planning to do when you thought things might not go well with the contract negotiations?
Yeah, well, it was always something I wanted to do. I always thought about doing it like after my fighting career, but the whole limbo thing with the UFC, even though it was horrible, it taught me some things while I was in limbo. Like, it's kind of taught me the fight game can be up and down. You can be on top of the world one fight and then way down in the dark at the next fight. So, especially because I fought out my contract as well. It kind of made me realise, like, fighting isn't going to be here forever. Whereas coaching, I could obviously coach for a lot longer than I can fight. And it's probably better to kind of build the momentum and stuff during the fight career. So yeah, I went ahead and started it because I wasn't sure what was happening with the kind of fighting career side of things. And I wasn't sure if I wanted to keep fighting if it wasn't in the UFC.
Yeah.
Depending on what was on offer and stuff, I did get some offers elsewhere. So yeah, I thought, you know what, I couldn't wait around forever just training and not making an income. So I thought, you know what, I'm going to do it, start my own gym. So yeah, I've started that, and to be honest, it's just really took off. It's really busy. I've literally just finished a striking and wrestling class tonight. There's been like over 20 guys in. And for the place that I've got, it's no the biggest place. So, yeah, it's just great. There's a great buzz, a great bunch of guys.
Blessing in disguise.
Yeah, that's it. So now that I've got the fight and the gym, I've got a great bunch of guys that have been in for the last few months. So I've got guys covering the classes, so I'm still able to get over and get my sparring with the good guys. Yeah, it's all good now.
Good, man. Well, first off, I got to congratulate you for opening a gym. That's no easy task, nor is running one. And props to you for planning on your future, man. Not a lot of fighters. I think we're seeing more and more of that today, but for the longest time, not a lot of fighters had any plan for life outside of fighting. So it sounds like not only a blessing in disguise, but a big lesson learned for you, as you were talking about there. But so I've talked about it on the show many times. A lot of guys talk about how coaching evolves themselves as a martial artist. You know what I mean? Actually teaching helps them develop their own technique and broaden their own game. Is that something that you're finding now?
Yeah, that's what I was going to say as well. Like, now that I'm teaching some of the techniques that's been taught to me, I'm actually learning them better because I'm having to think about it more. Whereas sometimes before, when you're just learning the techniques, you're not actually taking it in as much. But when you're teaching it, it's like you're re-drilling it in your head. And you're going over it that little bit more. So yeah, every time I'm teaching something, I'm basically drilling it in my head as well, how to do it completely correct. And yeah, I feel like coaching's kind of brought on my technical development.
Cool, man. Well, very good to hear. And again, congratulations. So it has been a very crazy few months for you, without question. Talk to us about the decision to play hardball with the UFC, fight out the contract, and try to negotiate from there.
Yeah, well, basically that was, I was with another management team, and as you know, like, kind of management always are I'm in control, but management are there to advise you and keep you right. So I was advised by my management it was the best idea to fight out my contract. I did get offered a contract from the UFC, but my management felt that we were worth more, and so we decided to fight out the contract. but I didn't ever realise fighting out the contract was kind of risking my job. I just thought I was risking the price in the contract. So I thought by fighting out my contract, I'm going to get a contract straight away, but just not as good money, and maybe even a little bit less money than the one they had offered. And that was the gamble I was willing to take. You know, if I lose to Felder, I get a little bit less money, than the one they've just offered me. And if I win, then we get the money we're asking for. So I felt it was a good kind of decision to do that. But, you know, that was obviously my management telling me this. If I knew that I would be in limbo and possibly not have a job and my career would be down the path, then no way would I have fought out my contract. Because it was never a case, like, I've made it clear I wanted to stay with the UFC. It was never a case that I was trying to threaten to go elsewhere. So, yeah, it's been such an experience the past few months, but it's kind of been a real kind of learning one, like you said. I've took a few positives from it.
So you mentioned that you had other fight offers or other promotional offers. I mean, they were not in the range of what you wanted financially either?
Well, to be honest, ACB actually offered me a really good financially good contract. Not as good as the one I've just been given from the UFC. So I was at the stage just before the UFC signed, gave me, like, just before I got the new UFC one, I was close to obviously signing with ACB, because, you know, I'd been given an offer. I wasn't sure what was happening with the UFC, and it was becoming to that stage where I was like, I'm maybe going to have to take this. But I've got a new management, and, you know, since I've signed with Ali Abdelaziz at Dominance MMA Management, like, he's just made me feel way better with everything. He takes control of stuff, and he's advised me and been there for me when I was in the dark and stuff. So
yeah. You know that he's one of the managers that, you know, might catch a little criticism for being vocal online, but I mean, I think he's one of the greats in the business, and he certainly gets a lot of respect. Represents some of the best in the business as well. But to tell me a little bit about, like, the transition over with him. I mean, it must have been immediate once you started working with him that negotiations softened up, and it seemed like you were going to come back to the UFC.
Yeah, well, as soon as I started speaking to Ali, to be honest, I just started feeling 100 times better. Like, he even said that he wasn't sure if he can sign me as a fighter because he had so many other fighters, but he was willing to still help me. So that just shows that, you know, he is a good guy, and he was willing to help me even if he was going to get nothing out of it, just because of the situation I was in. And then we kind of grew a bit closer, and we were speaking back and forth. He was making me feel mentally way better, and just almost trying to stay positive. He kept kind of be positive. I think the UFC are going to offer you a fight for London. Yeah, and then even when I got offered the other deal, you know, he was right. He said, you know, I think the UFC are going to offer you something, and yeah, he was there for me. And then it also probably helped that it was one of his fighters that got injured. So you could say that if I never signed with him, then this opportunity might not have came.
Yeah.
Because he also manages Rustam that got injured. So Ali was able to go to Sean and basically rectify the problem before it was even out.
Yeah. Well, it sounds like through all of the struggle and the uncertainty of what possibly could have happened, it has all worked out. It's all past you, and things are looking bright for the future now.
Yeah, that's it. I started coaching, and when I started coaching, I'm going to be honest, I wasn't enjoying it to start with. Going from just training full time, just training and doing nothing, training, to taking on this new gym and coaching, it was tough, but I'm actually really enjoying it now. And even during fight camp, I'm still taking, you know, 2 nights a week where I'm coaching. like I said, I've got a great bunch of guys in the gym, so I'm able to get the important days covered, where I can get over to my gym and make sure I'm getting the good sparring in with some of my teammates and stuff.
Yeah. Now,
so yeah, I've just got that great balance. Sorry.
Good, man. Very good. Very good. But just to stay on the negotiations thing here for a moment, when you had made the announcement, you know, some people in the media and the fans alike, some of them felt like your statement kind of seemed like you got backed into a corner. But speaking to you now, that it seems like that was not the case whatsoever. You took on new management and things worked out. It wasn't like you were backed into a corner, took a much lesser offer to get back into the UFC.
No, that's it. The UFC offered me the same contract that they initially offered me. So,
well, that's...
and that is one thing. When I was speaking to Sean, that is one thing Sean told me. He says, I'm happy to offer you the same contract that was initially offered if and when we re-sign you. So he stuck to his word. So yeah, I basically signed the offer that I initially rejected. Which was, to be honest, it's a really good contract anyway. But just back then, when I was with the other management, they made me believe that I was worth more. Maybe I was, if I got the win, but it never worked out. But yeah, it's all worked out now.
Well, initially, I know this was a financial thing. Your former management team said that you would be able to get more money. All in all, though, you are happy with this contract. You're happy with the pay and happy to be back.
Yeah, that's it. I'm happy with the money. I'm still always going to be chasing the bonus.
Right.
You know, but yeah, I mean, if I win 3 fights, if I go 3-0, I'm then in a much better position. I mean, I'm always chasing for that better money again. It's not quite anything to what some of the top guys are on, hundreds of thousands of dollars, but it's a good contract. So,
well,
yeah.
That's good, man. That's good. I know a lot of people were kind of comparing this to another instance where, you know, everybody's been talking about needing collective bargaining for you guys, for all of you athletes in combat sports. A lot of people were comparing your situation to a situation that you know, would call for something like this. Would you agree with that, or do you think this was just an instance of needing better management, or do you think that UFC fighters should have a union or get together to collectively bargain with the company?
To be honest, I do feel like there is some, like, my opponent's actually one of the big people that are on that. Yep. Kajan, he spoke out loudly and stuff. You know what? It's one of those ones where you need to watch what you're saying, because, you know, it's a big company and little guys like us, little fish, we can easily be replaced and stuff. So everybody's got to be careful with what they say. I do agree with some of the stuff that Kajan and other fighters have said. Like, I do think that, for example, in the EA Sports, the game, the UFC 3, I do feel like we maybe should all be getting a cut from that if you're in the game and they're making money off you. You know, like I read some statistics saying that 1.6 million copies of UFC 2 were sold. So if that's £40 a game, then there's like what, nearly $60 million,
right?
Or £60 million, sorry, that's going out. And I feel like, yeah, maybe the fighters should get a bit of a cut from it. It's still cool being in a game, but yeah, it's better if you're getting a little bit of money as well.
Right. Absolutely.
Yeah. And then, yeah, it was tough, the whole Reebok deal, trying to figure out, you know, who gets the more money and stuff. I could understand it, but you know what? I'm happy with the contract I've been given. It's good money. Everybody's always going to be chasing for more money, but you got to go in there and put people away and make a statement and to work your way to the top. And I'm sure that big payday and the good money will come if you're worth it.
Right. Well, so, you got to start somewhere.
Yeah, and that's what's made me realise it doesn't matter. It doesn't really matter what your record is or how many fights you've won. It's about how entertaining you are. It's an entertainment business, so the UFC will pay you the right money if people are wanting to watch you fight. Regardless of your record, if you go in and you bang, or people want to watch you because of the way you talk. So I'm definitely I'm still going to be humble, but I'm going to be opening my mouth a bit more, calling people out, and
well, I think for me, man, the sport is all about personalities, and I know we've entered that era of trash talk. I've talked about it a lot on my show. But at the end of the day, man, I think that if you're just yourself, man, and you have good performances, and like I said, there's so many personalities that people gravitate towards, and so many interesting personalities in this sport, more so than any other, in my opinion. So while I understand what you're saying, man, trash talk is funny. Calling people out, I mean, that's all a necessary part of the game. But I would also say, man, stick to your guns and be who you are. But
yeah, that's it. You can't really fake it. I mean, that's the one thing you didn't want to do. There's a couple of fighters that came in the game and tried to fake it, and if you're a trash talker like McGregor, then it comes natural and it looks good. But if you're not like that and you try and act like it, then you look dumb. You look stupid.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
So
many people trying to replicate that, but
I feel like there is a bit of trash talk in me, and I have wanted to call people out, but I've just held back sometimes and been a bit humble. And so, yeah, I'll just speak my mind a little bit more. And yeah, I got caught off Felder. He's now fighting Ali Aquinta, which is a top 10. He's in the top 10. I'm sure he's 10th. So yeah, I just need to get back in winning ways. Get back to winning ways, and then keep working my way to the top.
Absolutely, man. So, we talked about the collective bargaining. You segued into Kajan Johnson perfectly. That's kind of why I wanted to bring that stuff up. But in regards to Kajan as an opponent, technical skill versus technical skill, how do you like the matchup, and what do you think of his abilities versus yours?
Yeah, I think it's interesting. I've trained with Kajan before because I used to go to TriStar. I've not been in there in a while. So I think it's been over 2 years since I've actually been in TriStar. But the start of my UFC career, I was going to TriStar for like half my camps and stuff. So we've done some stuff together. It's been a while, but yeah, he likes to strike. He kind of uses a lot of footwork, almost runs a bit and lunges in. So yeah, I think that works well with my style. I like coming forward and coming to bang. So yeah, it'll be interesting. Hopefully a good one for the fans.
Yeah, I think it was a great matchup, and obviously props to you for taking a fight on short notice like that. Given the circumstances, I'm sure there was no hesitation to do so, but are you comfortable with the amount of time you have to prepare for a guy like Kajan?
Well, yeah, that's it. I've been preparing for the last 5 weeks anyway, so I was training for UFC London, just hoping that something would come up. So I know it's not really the same because you've not actually got an opponent, but I was fighting as if I did have an opponent. Right. Training as if I did have an opponent. And yeah, now I've got one. So now I've only got a short amount of time to actually train for him. But that's the same with me. Like, he was training for Rustam, that's an orthodox and more a wrestler. Now he's fighting a southpaw. That's he doesn't know what I'm going to do. So yeah, it's different for him as well. He was training for a fight that isn't there, and I was training for a fight that wasn't there either. Now we've got a fight. But when it comes to like cardio and all that stuff, I'm going to be ready. My weight's good. I've been training for the last 5 weeks. Still just under 4 weeks to go, and I'm feeling good. Very
good, man. So, I mean, given the Project Spearhead project that he has going on with Leslie Smith, I'm wondering if you know anything about it, and what do you think of the irony of him starting this, getting involved in this movement, and you going through these contract negotiations, stuff like this issue, and now you two are fighting? How strange is that?
Yeah, well, to be honest, I was never really, I just took some advice from my management. It was never a threat to leave the UFC. It was just a case of my management asked for a little bit more money, and I thought that if I won my fight, I was getting that money, and if I didn't win the fight, then I'd just get a little bit less. But obviously that wasn't the case. I almost lost my career due to it. Right. But like I said, I see Kajan's point, but he's got to be careful, because I mean, even though he's on a 3-fight win streak, if he's still winning and doing well when he's fought out his contract, and if he's still being this persistent, the UFC can easily, if he hasn't got that much of a big fan base and people aren't that bothered, the UFC could probably easily replace him. And then he'll be the kind of one that's no laughing in the end.
Right. So all of that considered, I mean, everything that you've been through, the angle that you're looking at, the situation with Kajan and the Project Spearhead, I mean, what kind of advice would you give to up-and-coming guys about when it comes to contract negotiations with the UFC and possibly unionizing? I know you're saying that, if you're too much of a loudmouth, say the wrong thing, you're going to face the axe. But I mean, what advice would you give to these young guys?
The young guys, I would advise any young guys to get good management for one, someone you trust, someone that's got a good kind of CV, and secondly, if you want to get paid good money, then go in and make a statement, show your value, go in and knock guys out, go in and submit guys, go in and show that, and even if you're not doing that, you're trying to do it. Didn't pick fights either. I've never ever picked a fight, and I've always accepted any fight I've ever been given. I'm willing to fight anybody, anytime, any weight. And I think that's just the way you've got to be. The UFC give you someone, you do it. And if you want to get paid good money, you've got to put on good performances. I feel like the only really guys that can really make a difference on the union thing and stuff is like somebody that they're like a McGregor, a Diaz, these kind of guys.
GSP, McGregor, yeah, you're absolutely correct.
Exactly.
It would take the big names making that happen, but wisely the UFC pays them the big money, so.
Exactly. So they've nothing to complain about.
Yeah, right. It's a catch-22.
But they even say that they feel that they're not getting paid what they're worth either. I've heard, I'm sure McGregor has said that, he gets good money and stuff, but he still feels like they're not even getting paid as much as they should be. So
yeah. Well, I've talked about it a lot. I would like the Ali Act to cover you guys. I mean, once that happens, if it does happen, I think that'll be a big deal and open the door for all of you athletes to not only get better paychecks, but to have more options as fighters as well. But listen, man, I know we've taken up a lot of time here. I don't want to take up too much more of your time. Getting back to Kajan, man, give us your prediction for the fight. How do you visualize it playing out, and how do you see the outcome going? Like, are you going to get a finish with the KO submission? How do you see it going?
To be honest, I'm coming in here to make a statement, not just to Kajan or fans or whatever, to the UFC. After that whole limbo, I'm coming in here to, Kajan's a good guy and he's a friend and whatever, but I'm going in there to try and take his head off. A fight's a fight. I'm going in there to try and finish it as quick as possible. If it goes 3 rounds, it goes 3 rounds. I don't really like making predictions because anything can happen, but I'm going to be going in there looking for a finish or looking to win in a kind of devastating way. The whole thing, sorry, just one last thing about the one thing I would like to see a change from the whole UFC thing, the union thing, is I think the biggest problem is getting because you do get good money. We all get pretty good money, but it's only when you fight. So I'd like that one part to change. Maybe maybe they could have used the Reebok sponsor and maybe some money from EA Sports and stuff like that to pay the guys on a monthly basis, and so that if you're not fighting because you're injured, then at least you're still getting a little bit of a paycheck in the bank.
Right.
Because that's the most stressful part. I mean, if you get injured and you can't fight, you probably can't work either because you're injured. And it leaves you in a bit of a situation. So that's the one part I'd like to maybe see get changed from the UFC.
Yeah, there's been a lot of talk of a supplemental income and all of the damage that the Reebok deal did. I mean, a lot of guys were getting that income through other means when they weren't fighting. And like you said, man, you might get a fat paycheck when you fight, but at the end of the day,
Yeah, because that's the one thing I would like to see change, if anything, from the UFC. Just the fighters getting a little bit of money on a weekly or monthly basis, just in case you did get injured or you can't fight, or you're just not fighting because I think there's certain people that even want to fight, but they've not got fights because there's that many fighters on the roster trying to get everybody in and keep everyone happy. So that would be cool if they can eventually sort something out like that. So we're getting some sort of money every now and again instead of just when you're fighting.
Yeah. So, well, I agree. I agree with a lot of what you said, man, and I hope that something does change and the Ali Act begins to represent you guys. And I've said it all along, what you guys do, and you go out there, put your health and your safety on the line for the entertainment of the rest of us. You deserve good compensation for that and to be well taken care of and live comfortably, without question. So,
Yep.
But listen, man, what do you think of competing in the O2? You must be. I know you said you were campaigning for this fight in the UK. You must be very happy to go out there and compete in front of all the UK fans.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, the last time I fought in London was before the UFC. I've never competed in the UFC in London. The last time I think was when I fought Kurt Warburton just before the UFC. It was the trilogy fight. I beat Kurt Warburton, defending my Cage Warriors world title. Yeah, and I loved it. I also won the Cage Warriors title there as well in a 4-man tournament. So London's been a good experience for me. The few times I've fought there, I think I'm maybe undefeated in London. So let's look at keeping that going.
Right. So all in all, man, good stuff that everything's settled. You've got a contract. You're back in the UFC. Coming to fight in a familiar place, almost a homecoming, if you would.
Yeah, that's it. And I've even managed to, set something up with the Braveheart MMA, my little club that I've got going, and that kind of helps the whole thing we were speaking about as well. Getting some sort of money coming in every week or every month. Now I'm getting money in from coaching every week or month. And then if I did get injured, I can still kind of coach as well. So.
For sure, man. For sure.
Yeah, that's cool.
Well, at the end of the day, brother, I'm happy for you. I'm glad it's all worked out. I certainly look forward to the fight coming up with Kajan, and all that the future has in store. I guess in conclusion, man, tell all the fans what they can expect come fight night, and how many times would you like to compete this year?
I like to stay busy. I'd like to fight between 3 and 4 times between now and next summer, so maybe 3 between now and next March, and got another one before the summer, so maybe 4 times. Stay active and try and win them all. And then, like I said, I signed a 4-fight contract, so if I can fight 3 fights and win 3 of them, then not fight out my contract this time. Get a good contract, another good contract from the UFC. Especially if I win all 3 fights, and devastating fashion as well. So yeah, that's the goal. Just get those fights under the belt and try and get the wins.
Keep moving forward, man. Well, again, congratulations on opening the gym. Very happy about the contract issues being cleared up, and very much so looking forward to the fight. Before we let you go, any shout-outs you'd like to get in, or maybe plug the location and how to get in touch with you guys for Braveheart Academy?
Yeah, just thanks to everyone that was there for me during the kind of time that I was really low. Thanks to Ali, my new manager, all my coach, my family, friends and fans, my couple of sponsors, Seconds Outstore in Edinburgh, always been good to me, giving me all the best of gear, and Flora Fusion just signed a new CBD oil sponsor with them. Thanks to Arena Gym, who I'm running my club out of. Thanks to them and Kirkcaldy. I think that's it.
All right,
thanks to you for having me on, man.
Yeah, no doubt, man. Anytime. Hopefully we can catch up after a big win. Greatly appreciated as always. I know we went pretty long here, but it was a good conversation. So thank you very much for that, and you have a wonderful evening, man.
You too, mate. Thank you.
All right, brother.
All right. Speak to you later, mate.
Later.
Bye-bye.
Well, there you have it, folks. Very interesting stuff. The way this all played out for Stevie Ray. Got to give him a lot of props for persevering through all of it, making something for himself out of what was pretty much a bad situation for quite some time there. But it's all been resolved. It's all behind him. He looks forward. Gonna fight Kajan Johnson coming up here in London. I want to say that is March. Don't quote me. Beginning of March. Anyway, great convo with him. When he was talking about the supplemental income and talking about opening the gym, I mean, that always strikes a chord with me. You guys have heard me talk about it for quite some time on this show. The Ali Act should cover MMA athletes, and these guys should have better bargaining rights when it comes to working with these big promotions. And, you know, the Reebok deal, all of these things have hurt fighters' pockets. And, you know, financially, this guy was on the cusp of giving up, and it has all worked out for him. Very cool stuff. Very happy for him. Looking forward to this fight coming up with Kajan Johnson. So let's keep it moving. Third guest of the evening. Swedish kickboxing star. All-around badass. 4-0 in the UFC. Very promising guy as well. David Teymur. David Teymur. Sorry about that, guys. It's one or the other. Anyway, first time speaking with him, first time having him on the show. Very cool stuff. Great conversation. Again, this guy was kind of out in the woods in Sweden, so we did have a bit of a connection issue, but nonetheless, I'm sure you guys will enjoy it. BJPenn.com radio, the fighter's voice. I'm your host, Jay Kinch. Coming up next, David Teymur. All right, Penn Nation, please welcome to the show, undefeated in the UFC's lightweight division, and one of Europe's hottest prospects at this point in time. Of course, I'm talking about David Teymur. David, what's going on, man? Thanks for joining us tonight. How is life in Sweden this evening?
Thank you. I'm very happy to be in the radio. I'm in Sweden right now. Yeah, it's the weather is a little bit cold here, so it's snowing outside. So otherwise, everything is good here.
Yeah, I know, man. Yeah. I'm from the Northeast in the States, and it is winter time here. Obviously, it's been a very mild one, but believe it or not, man, today is like 60-something degrees. I could not believe it.
Oh, that's really good.
Right. So putting in some good work in the gym, I'd imagine. You know, getting in those reps on the day-to-day.
Yes. You mean if I have trained today?
Yes.
I did. Yes. Honestly, today I was going just take a run, like 45 minutes, just physical running. Yesterday I was in the gym, hitting the pads and like doing some good wrestling. So I combine my training. So every single day I do something different.
Very good, man. So listen, we haven't seen you in action since the Drakkar Klaus fight. That was back in December. What's the good word, man? I heard you might have some fight news coming up. Care to give us the scoop on that?
Yes. I was supposed to. We was talking about the UFC in New Jersey. I was supposed to fight against Jim Miller, but honestly, I get the answer yesterday. But he's not gonna fight it. So yeah. So the fight is not gonna be. And yeah, let's see what's coming up next.
Really? So initially you were supposed to fight Jim Miller in New Jersey. Which card was that? Was that a fight night or was that a pay-per-view?
Yeah, it was a fight night, I think. Yeah, it was a fight night. Yes.
So he's just not ready to compete, or he just did not want to fight with you?
Yeah, exactly. That times I don't know, but I think that he don't wanna. I don't know. He pushed it out. What can I say? You know.
Well, that's a shame, man. An absolute shame. So at this point, you've got no opponent. Are you still looking to compete on that card? Is that the event that you'd like to be a part of?
Right now, I don't have any fight plans yet. But I'm like, I'm ready to go. You know, I'm like undefeated in the UFC, and like I'm 4-0. Yeah.
Yeah, only makes sense, man. I understand you're probably itching to get back in there and continue to climb the ranks. You've had an amazing career so far in the UFC. So, I mean, at this point in time, if it looks like nothing's scheduled, you know, how long are you willing to wait? I mean, what's the ideal time frame for you to get back into action?
I'm like, I'm hungry. You know, I want to fight. Like, I can fight tomorrow if you want. So, yeah, I'm ready to go. I'm training like every day. So I'm stay focused. I'm training, and yeah, let's see what's coming up next. So now I know that New Jersey is gonna be. I mean, the fight against Jim Miller, but let's see what the UFC. Maybe they have other opponents for me, other plans. So let's see. I'm training. I do my training, and yeah. Let's see what's coming up next.
Well, I certainly hope something gets announced for you soon. I know that was that card was going to be the end of April, right?
Yes, in the end of April.
Yeah.
But yeah, we got some. I think it's gonna be other opportunity. They got some. I will get the news soon about my next upcoming fight.
Now, do you think you're going to get maybe a top 15 guy or somebody with a notable reputation in the sport to help build you up to that top 15 fight that you're looking for?
I mean, like I want to come to the top, you know. So I'm like I deserve to be in the top, you know. I deserve a top at least now top 15 guy. So let's see what UFC has to bring to the table. But of course, I deserve a top 15 guy. Yeah.
Well, I would certainly agree with you. I mean, just going 4-0 in the lightweight division, it is one of the toughest divisions, if not the toughest division in all of mixed martial arts. So I would certainly agree with you. And your kickboxing skills, man, all the things that you've displayed so far in your career in the UFC, very impressive stuff. You know, that's something I wanted to ask you about. Give us your thoughts on your kickboxing skills versus the rest of the division. And, you know, do you see anybody that's that proficient in striking as you are in the division right now?
I mean, like, I've been do kickboxing for many years. Me and my brother, Daniel. So we are well known in the striking world. So I get a good experience. I mean, like nobody can stand. I mean, like in. Do you hear me?
Yep, I can hear you.
Yeah. Sorry. But I mean, I got good experience in the standing up, and I deserved. I am in the top in the world. You know, my striking level, and yeah, you know, I'm like nobody can. Like, how can I say, like be staying in front of me and striking with me. My striking level is good, and also my wrestling and all this, you know. So I am always when I'm in that octagon, like I give and I put the best show ever to all the crowd and people. So
Yeah, no, I would totally agree with you, man. Your performances have been awesome. I mean, just the fight with Lando Venata, I think that was a really big coming out party, if you will, for you. You really put yourself on the map there with a lot of the casual fans that might not be too familiar with you. But tell us about your evolution into mixed martial arts and how the All-Stars Gym in Sweden, how has that helped you evolve into the sport and start to learn those other facets of mixed martial arts?
Yeah, I mean, like we are a good team over there. It's like my teammate this Saturday is gonna fight one of them, like Ili Latifi. He's gonna fight against Ovier Santrux in Orlando, UFC Orlando. You know that that event, and also we have like Alexander Gustafsson, and we have a lot of guys, you know, good guys in the gym. So we are like helping each other, and we are growing, and we training hard every day. So I have good guys, you know, around me. So yeah, my MMA is really good. It's top level in the world.
Yeah, that's got to be one of the best gyms in all of Europe right now. Like you said, Alexander Gustafsson, Ilir Latifi, Jimmy Manuwa trains there as well, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, Jimmy is also here. We was training yesterday together, so yeah, we are good guys over here, you know. So we are a good team together. We helping each other every day.
Talk to us a little bit about that. You know, the evolution of mixed martial arts in Europe. It seems to be gaining a lot of steam in that region of the world, as obviously, you know, with all the cards coming there and all of the talent coming out of Europe right now. Talk to us a bit about you know, what you've seen in your own personal life as far as the popularity of mixed martial arts goes in that region over the past few years.
I mean, like MMA, the MMA UFC is growing every day. You know, people all around. They are talking about, you know, the people in the suit, you know, the young boys in the hood, you know, everybody, they are talking about the UFC, the MMA. So for me, it's the biggest sport in the whole world, you know. So before, people was like training football and all this, but now you hear like every day MMA, UFC. So it's something like we do it together. Like, yeah, it's really fun to see, you know. People love it, and it's growing every day. So, yeah, in Europe, in Sweden, people know me very well. Like over here in Europe, and also now in States, because I am fighting a lot there. I also been earlier in the Ultimate Fighter.
Of course, I mean, like, I have the style people love to see, you know. Since day one, you know, since day one, I started with the mixed martial art, with the mixed martial arts, and with the people always love to see my fight. You know, when people is voting about which fight they like, always, I'm like many years ago. I don't know, like, it's something natural in me. People love to watch my style because it's come knees, kicks. You know, I mix it up, everything. So. Yeah, so I'm keep going on and keep doing that I'm best on, and like I didn't came like about the UFC. I said that first day, like I'm not like the type of guy that just gonna be happy to be in the UFC. You know, it just take a part. Like I'm gonna go into the UFC and I'm gonna go the whole way to the belt, all the way to the belt. So that's my goal. So soon you're gonna see the whole world gonna know me.
Yeah, well, like I said earlier, man, I think that your style speaks for itself, and it's something that all MMA fans can certainly get behind. But something completely off topic here for a moment. Is that really your nickname, man? How the hell did you get the nickname the Underwear Man?
That was from the Ultimate Fighter 22. I don't know if you have seen it yet, but you have to see it. You know, it was the. Do you remember when about the Cody and all this, when we was in the house and we was talk like arguing about when Conor and when Cody told him like what you're gonna do, and they're standing up and push him. Do you remember that? Did you see that?
Yeah, I do remember that confrontation. Yes.
Yeah. So, I mean, like when I was there, so I was telling like, you know, Cody, he was like throwing words like blah blah blah. So I just pushed him because he stand up. He was pushing Conor, and nobody was like doing something, and I feel like I just can't watch, you know. So I was also getting up. So I pushed him like, hey, what the fuck you doing? Like something like that. Then I don't know, the other team, they was doing like words. So I'm like, hey guys, listen up everybody. Take care of your underwear. I was telling Cody this. I was, listen up, I want to take care of your underwear, otherwise I'm going to fuck you up. So, yeah, so after that, people get crazy. Say, oh, what was that? You know, it was something really fun, you know. So, yeah, but all that was, in the end of the day, it was nothing, you know. It was just, like, you know, like trash talking to each other.
Right.
So, yeah. So after that day, we had like a pool party, and we was hanging out together and have a drink. So, yeah, everything was cool. But that scene when I was holding like take care of underwear, people love that. So still today, I'm in the city and walking, and there was, hey, take care of your underwear. Like people still remember that.
Well, I got to tell you, man, it's one of the funnier nicknames in all of mixed martial arts, and I hope you know, whether or not you keep that remains to be seen, but it's definitely entertaining for the time being. But moving on from there, man, I saw on your Twitter feed that you got a chance to speak with Yoel Romero tonight. How did that conversation go?
Yeah, it's we are in the same management, first round management. Me and we are in the same management. We're in the same team, same management. Yeah. So I was talking to my manager, and also Yoel Romero was there. So yeah, he was behind him. So he was with him together. They was together. Then yeah, we get the phone, and he was like, I was congratulating him on his win, his last fight. So yeah, we had a good conversation together. So he's a really cool guy, and they're really happy, and yeah, we had a nice conversation together.
Cool, man. So I saw that obviously you were congratulating him, but did he give you some advice, maybe some words of inspiration, you know, moving forward in your own career?
Not something special like that, but like we was like had a good conversation, and I was like congratulating him on his like good fight and like that. So we didn't get like in the detailed tips, you know, about the fighting and stuff like that. So that's it. That we're gonna have one day. We're gonna train together. When I come down to the States, we're gonna like sharing techniques together. Yeah.
Oh, that'd be very cool. One of the best strikers in the game, and one of the best wrestlers by far. I'm sure you guys could exchange a lot of valuable information. But you know, you mentioned first round management, Malky Kawa, Abe Kawa, the Kawa brothers, both really cool guys. We've had a great relationship with them here at bjpen.com. How long have you been with first round management?
Around like 6 months. Half year, something like that. It's a couple of months, yeah. Cool. It's not it hasn't been a year yet, but yeah, a couple of months, yeah. Cool. So they are really good. They're like they have been doing this for a long time, so they have good. They know what they're doing. So they are really good, and yeah, I'm happy with them. You know, so yeah, they know they're really good on what they are doing.
Without a doubt, man. Without a doubt, some of the best in the business for sure, and it's incredibly important in this day and age to have good management behind you.
Yes, that's important to have a good management. Yeah, 100%.
All right, man. So how active would you like to be in 2018? How many times would you like to fight this year?
This year, I mean, like, I always like around 3 fights in a year is good.
So 3 fights this year, you'd be happy. Do you think you'll break into the top 10, top 15 by the end of 2018?
I'm ready to fight how many fights they give me. But yeah, they always say like 3 fights for in the UFC. Like for UFC fighters, it's good if you have like 3 fights, you know, because you need time between the fights and you know all this. So like around 3 fights, but let's see. I can say like I'm gonna fight like it can be maybe more or you know. So, but if I fight 3 fights, it's good. Yeah, I'm happy if I get 3 fights.
Well, I'm certainly looking forward to it.
Whatever it takes to come to the top, you know, I do it.
Well, I'll tell you what, man, I'm certainly looking forward to your next outing and all that the future has in store for you. Just a couple more questions before we let you go. You've been more than generous with your time. I wanted to get your prediction for Khabib Nurmagomedov and Tony Ferguson. How do you see that fight playing out?
Khabib and Tony Ferguson. Yeah, Khabib is a good wrestler. He's pressing. Tony Ferguson, he's like in the ground. Oh, it's a good fight. And you think who I think gonna win that fight?
Yeah. How do you see it playing out? Who do you think is gonna come out with the title?
I think Khabib win that fight on points.
Yeah, that's an educated decision.
That's what I think. Because yeah, Khabib he don't have so much. I mean, like he all his fights you have seen it. He don't have so many finishes. You know, all his fights. I don't know. I don't think that it's like entertaining to he's a good athlete, but like I can say like his style it's like it's not maybe the most excited style you know in my opportunity. I mean like all his fights he get the first bonus now after his 25 fights Khabib.
After I believe so. You might be accurate with that. I'd have to double check, but I know what you mean. He does go to decision quite a bit.
Yeah. The most his fight is to the division, but I think Khabib gonna win that on point.
Okay. I think a lot of people would agree with you on that, man. So when you look at guys like Khabib and Tony, you know, the top 10 in the division, the top 15. How do you think you match up against these guys right now? Do you think you're currently ready for the elite at 155?
I mean, like, I'm like, how can I say? I'm more than ready for that division. You know, it's just a matter of time. We saw Lando Vanata against Tony Ferguson. In my opinion, like Lando Vanata win him, but the thing was like he took that fight in short notice, so he get tired and until he gets choked out. In my opinion, Lando Vanata won that fight. Do you agree with me? Do you remember that fight?
I think Lando Vanata certainly showed that he belongs up there as well, and like I know what you're saying, you know, with a win over him and a fight with Tony, you know, when you consider all of that, you know, your win over Lando certainly suggests that you're definitely ready for guys like Tony Ferguson and some of the best guys in the division.
I mean, like Lando Vanata, I had him as a winner until before he gets choked out from Tony Ferguson. You know, before that, he was doing really good performance against him. Like, he was good striking and all this. Yeah, everybody saw that fight. So, yeah, of course, Tony Ferguson won that fight. But before he gets choked out, in my eyes, he was a winner before he gets choked out. So, my fight against Lando Vanata, everybody saw what's happened. like we did a good dance. People love that fight. That fight gets chosen for the one of the top best fights in the whole 2017. And I win Lando. So I mean, like, if me and Tony gonna have a matching up one day, and I think that's gonna happen. I hope so. Yeah. I mean, like, people gonna know me. I mean, I gonna do really good performance, and I'm gonna win.
Well, like you said, man, it's only a matter of time before you get that respect and admiration and notoriety from all of the fans across the globe. I have no doubt that is on the horizon for you. Certainly looking forward to the fight being announced, some kind of opponent, whoever it may be. Definitely looking forward to your next outing. Hopefully we can catch up again before that. I guess in conclusion, man, what can all the fans expect from you in this next fight when it gets announced and for the rest of the year?
I mean, like, soon the world will know that I came like to take over this division, my division 155. No, Vick should like tune in and don't blink. I mean, like, great news gonna come in soon. For the moment, I'm on training, and yeah, people gonna see more of David Teymur. People gonna see more of David Teymur, and yeah. I gonna update everything on my Instagram, David Teymur. You can see there in Twitter. So and I also want to reach out to all the fans. Thanks for all your love, your support, all this. You know, it means so much to me. You know, so I'm really appreciate it. You know, yeah, I'm really grateful.
All right, man. Well, like I said, I have no doubt that big things are on the horizon for you. Certainly looking forward to the next fight being announced. Whoever it may be. Greatly appreciate the time tonight, man. And again, hopefully we can catch up again soon. Any shout-outs or plugs or any sponsor you'd like to thank before we let you go?
Yeah, I want to thank my sponsor, Braveheart. It's my sponsor, and I want to thank the UFC for giving me the opportunity in my fight. I want to thank the Sean Shelby, Dana White, the whole UFC, and yeah. I mean, like, stay tuned, everybody. Don't blink.
All right, man. Again, greatly appreciate it. You have a wonderful evening over there across the globe. And hopefully we can catch up again once a fight gets announced. Good conversation. It was a pleasure to speak with you tonight, man.
Thank you very much, brother. It was my pleasure. And yeah, have a good time over there. Thank you very much.
The Underwear Man, David Teymur. What a hilarious nickname. Had to ask about it. Obviously, I missed that portion of the episode on Tough where he became famous for this, but very funny stuff nonetheless. Hopefully he can get himself a fight soon. 4-0 in the UFC, incredible striking ability, bringing all of that into the octagon. Haven't really seen him tested on the ground yet, but certainly something I'm looking forward to. His ability and see how far he can take this. Again, great combat sports athlete, veteran in that realm, maybe not mixed martial arts, but promising guy, huge in Europe apparently, as he said, and the future is very bright for him as well. Let's keep it moving. Final guest of the evening, winner at UFC Austin, beating Francisco Trinaldo. An outspoken guy, very talented guy. You've heard him on the show many times. The Texecutioner himself, James Vick. BJPenn.com radio. I'm your host, Jay Kinch. Coming up next, James Vick. Penn Nation, please welcome back to the show one of the biggest winners from UFC Austin over the weekend, the Texecutioner himself, James Vick. Thanks as always for taking the time to speak with us, James. How is the traveling going?
It's good. I'm on the way home now. Me and my girl stayed in Austin an extra couple of days. Had a little
mini vacation, and now we're almost home. We're about 10 minutes away from home, and I'm happy to be back.
I believe it, man, and I'd imagine very happy with the performance as well.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I wish I would have got the finish, but I handily won the fight and took no damage. So yeah, I'm happy.
Yeah, you can't complain with that, man. You got the UD over Francisco Trinaldo in front of the hometown crowd. Trinaldo's a very tough guy, has some wins over some big names at 155, yet he really had nothing for you in there. What was the game plan going into this fight?
Yeah, man, he's really tough, dude. How many people have won 7 fights in a row in the UFC? I mean, I didn't even do that. I won 5 before I lost my first one. Trinaldo won 7 fights in a row in the UFC. He's beat a lot of up-and-comers, coming up. There was supposed to be, a next big thing, kind of like I'm working on. So I knew what was at stake, and I wasn't going to let an upset happen. The game plan pretty much went according to plan. Basically, I knew I was a better striker. I knew my movement and my range were going to give him problems, and I knew if he tried to wrestle me, it was going to gas him out. And so he didn't really try to wrestle a lot I think he was worried about being gassed out, so he didn't really wrestle a lot, and I was able to keep him on the outside and win a point battle.
Some people might have thought, or some people were saying that they thought he was going to have maybe a bit of an edge over you on the ground, but you guys had some really good scrambles. I'm wondering, though, was that guillotine close at all in the first round?
No, not at all. Not at all. Yeah, I knew he wasn't going to have an edge over me on the ground. Everyone talked about how physically strong he was, and, I've heard all this, but when we locked up, I mean, he was strong, don't get me wrong, but, he wasn't really any stronger than me. I didn't feel overpowered, and I actually, body locked him and put him on his back and took him down. I knew his grappling wasn't better than mine. I knew his wrestling and his jiu-jitsu, neither one was better than mine. The guillotine really wasn't tight at all. What I was a little worried about for a second was the head and arm triangle he attempted. He tried to push my head up, my arm over and get the head and arm triangle, and I know that he's gotten 3 UFC submissions with that same move, the head and arm triangle. So I heard my coach scream to get my elbow to the mat, and I made sure that at all costs I wasn't going to let him get my arm over by my head. And I did a good job of that. And that to me, that was more of a scare than the guillotine. I think the guillotine looked tight from TV and from the outside looking in because he trapped my feet. But where I couldn't get it took me a second to get my feet loose. But the actual choke wasn't tight at all. That's why I saw the ref looking at me, and I gave him a thumbs up to make sure he wasn't worried about me. Wasn't worried about me tapping or anything.
Yeah, I noticed with the arm triangle there, you immediately went to the answering the phone position, retained guard very quickly. Kudos for that. But the judges gave him a round. Do you know which one they gave him, or which one you thought you might have lost?
Honestly, I don't know what round they gave him and what round they thought he won. It's funny because a lot of people, a lot of the haters are on the outside. Is, oh, you should have finished him. First of all, the dude's 20. He has 28 pro fights now. He's never been knocked out. So I dropped him. I wish I would have been more patient. Maybe I could have finished him there. But the guy has only been finished a couple times, and he was 22-5 at that point. And but I looked at the punch stats. I landed the dude almost 3-1. I'm trying to figure out what round he did win, because I mean I know he was coming forward and pressuring, but you can't default me for my style. I'm a counterpuncher. I've been a counterpuncher my whole career. I'm a mover. I don't really press and walk people down. That's not my style, and I'm not going to change that or take unnecessary risk. It was a competitive fight, 100%. He was a tough dude. He was game. He took everything and gave some shots too. But if you look at the numbers, I landed the dude like 72 strikes to like 26, almost 3-1. I didn't feel like he won a round. It was competitive, but I didn't feel like it was close. But they gave him a round. That's cool. I'm not sure, honestly. I don't know. I'm assuming maybe the second or third, one of them two, because I know he didn't win the first round because I dropped him with the right hand and almost finished him.
Well, I'll tell you what, man, you're talking about being a counter striker there. To be honest with you, you kind of looked not so much aggressive, but you were definitely pushing the pace there at a few points. You looked really loose in there to me, man. It seemed like your confidence was at an all-time high, and I'm sure you'd agree with that.
Yeah, my confidence is always high, and it's only getting higher. With more wins and more experience and more hours in the gym of training my technique. I feel like my technique is finally catching up with my mindset. I've always had a winner's mindset and a self-belief like no other. And I feel like I'm mentally stronger than everyone, but I feel like my technique is catching up after all these years. I just think that in my mind, the only reason why anybody's ever been better than me is because they've been training longer. And when I catch them, they're screwed. And I'm slowly proving that fact, not just to myself, but to the world. For
sure, man. Now, the highlight of the fight was the side kick to the face that you landed. Everybody was likening it to Sweet Chin Music of Shawn Michaels fame. Looked like you attempted it a few times, but it landed really cleanly once. How cool was it for you to land that kick?
Oh, it was super cool. Obviously, growing up as a kid, I watched WWE, and Shawn Michaels was one of my favorites. I remember back when he won the Royal Rumble a couple years in a row, like 95 and 96. I was a kid, and that was like the prime time of my youth. When I was like 10 years old, or 9 years old. So I was a huge Shawn Michaels fan. It was so cool to land that kick, and I've been taking Taekwondo for about 2 years now. My kicks are getting really good, like vicious. I have multiple kicks, and I haven't really unloaded them until this fight. I've used a side kick a couple times, but I really worked it this time, and I have a lot more of those in arsenal. I actually landed a lead leg hook kick as well. And,
yeah.
I think that may have been the one that he had a small cut on the bottom of his cheek. That may have been the one that cut him. I'm not sure, but I know I landed it, and I was like, oh shit! In my mind, I'm getting so comfortable in there now. It's like I see everything in slow motion, and I was like, man, did I just land that? Did I just land the lead leg hook? I was all happy about that. I'm not gonna lie. But yeah, it's really cool to land, one of Shawn Michaels' techniques. And then I tweeted it to him, and he retweeted me back. And he was like, oh, he said, Sweet Chin Music never looked so good. Congratulations. And I was like, oh, shit.
How cool is that?
UFC retweeted it. UFC retweeted it and everything, and it was super cool that Shawn Michaels responded back.
Wow, man, that is tremendous. You mentioned the side kicks, lead leg side kicks to the body. You mentioned the hook kick as well. I saw that land a couple times. Very, very cool stuff. And like you said, certainly looking very comfortable in there. But you got a response from HBK himself, man. That is amazing.
Yeah, I was like a little kid. I ain't even gonna lie. I'm not really fanboy type. I'm not really fanboy type, but I was kind of fanboy when he sent me that. I'm not gonna lie. I was like, oh shit, man.
So listen, man, it's well documented that you've been pissed off about not getting opponents in the division, in the top of the division. You've said it many times on this show and many others that nobody wants to take a fight with you. But you and I have also discussed on a couple occasions that there comes a point where you cannot be denied. Are we at that point yet, in your opinion?
I would like to think so. I mean, honest to God, I would. I'd like to think so, but honestly, I don't know anymore. I mean, this shit ain't about rankings. I don't know what it is, man. I mean, here's the thing, and I don't care whether people agree with this or not, but at the end of the day, I do have one of the best records in the entire organization. You can't name two other people that have a 9-1 record in the UFC. The only guy I know that has a better record is Khabib because he's never lost. He's the only one. You know what I'm saying? That pretty much hadn't lost in the UFC. That's won more than 9 fights. To me, it's undeniable. And here's the thing, guys. All these guys, Chiesa, Kevin Lee, Gaethje, Poirier, Eddie Alvarez, all these clowns. They were praying a veteran like Ronaldo because they know how they can sit there and act like Ronaldo's a 40-year-old man. This and that. Let me tell you something. He showed no sign of slowing down. It looked like to me he was 8-1 in his last 9 fights and won 7 fights in a row. Don't look like he's slowing down to me. Some people hit their strides later in life, and his cardio held up great. That was the knock on him that if you take him a deep water, you'll get tired. He's won a bunch of decisions in the UFC, so obviously his cardio isn't as bad as people say, and it seemed good in there to me. The thing is they're sitting at home praying that a guy like that beats me, so they don't have to face me. Every one of them were hoping to death that Ronaldo won that fight. Because they don't want to have to fight him.
Well, you make a great point there, talking about the toughness of him and how he is a veteran of the sport with some very big wins over some big names. But that kind of lends itself to the props you got to give him for taking the fight, considering that nobody else is willing to do so at this point.
100%. I shook his hand. I gave him a big hug, looked him in his eye, and told him how much I respect him and how much of a real fighter and how nobody wants to fight me. No one wants to. A lot of these people don't want to fight him. And I respect the dude more than pretty much almost anybody I've ever fought. Because he didn't have to take the fight. And Sean Shelby knew that he would take the fight. Sean Shelby's like, Ronaldo's not going to turn down fights. He knows I've never turned down a fight. I've never once turned down a fight if I was healthy. Obviously, a couple times I've had to say, hey man, I can't fight. I'm injured. Because I've had a lot of injuries in the last few years. Well, the last couple years I've been pretty good, but before that I went through a long spell of injuries. But I've never once turned down a damn fight that Sean Shelby has presented me to the table with. Now, some of that may be changing if they're expecting me to fight some of these guys and not get paid. It's time to they're going to be up in the money if they're going to be asking to either fight up or down. Unless I'm fighting someone around my level, then it's either you want me to fight down and take a chance on losing to someone below me, then you're going to pay me, or if you want me to fight up someone high, then then I want the same money they're getting. You're going to pay me. That's just how I feel now. I mean, this I feel like I've earned this. I mean, if I'm 9-1 in another fucking weight class, I'm a fucking world champion already.
Yeah, you're absolutely right, man, and that also lends itself to the Shark Tank. That is 155, but to touch on Chiesa, Lee, Gaethje, Poirier, you mentioned all these guys this week. Called Gaethje a punching bag, made some really good points about Poirier and the rankings debate. You must be pretty tired of having to plead your case to get a big fight at this point.
Yeah, like I said on the mic, I'm fucking tired of calling these guys out. Fuck them. If they don't want to fight me, then fuck you. You know what I'm saying? If you're gonna ask me, if UFC's gonna call me and ask me to fight someone ranked below me now after I've won all these fights, then I'll be like, okay, I'm not gonna. If they ask me to fight someone that's not even ranked, I'm not gonna turn down the fight, but I am gonna demand more money before I do. I'm gonna be like, well, you're gonna fucking compensate me, for my risk. Because there's tons of these killers on the outside looking in that are ready for the top 15 also, and all these other guys want guys like me to have to fight them so they don't have to.
Right. Well, totally understandable.
And they're praying those guys will beat me so they don't have to fight me, or hopefully they don't have to fight them. That's guaranteed. That's what they're thinking.
Yeah, totally understandable, man. You don't want to become a gatekeeper in this division. You want to become the champion in this division.
I'm a fucking 9-1, 6'3" lightweight. I'm a future world champion. I ain't no motherfucking stepping stone or gatekeeper. And it's time they start realizing that shit. If these guys don't want to fight me, well, fuck them. Like I said, I'm not thinking fucking these clowns anymore. I'm thinking Khabib. I'm thinking Tony Ferguson. I'm thinking McGregor. I'm thinking world title. I'm gonna be a world champion by the end of the year.
I have no doubt, man. The way things have progressed so far, and watching all of this unfold for you, man, it's only a matter of time, as you and I have discussed every time we've spoke for the most part. But has Sean Shelby, the UFC, has anybody discussed anything with you after this win? I mean, it must be a big fight offer for your next bout.
No, I haven't talked to him yet. Like I said, I've been on vacation with my girl for the last 2 days, and I'm probably going to either reach out to Sean here in a little bit today, or I'm going to text or call him tomorrow. And I'm just going to what I'm going to say basically is, hey, what's up, man? What's going on? Is there any possibility of a big opportunity in the next month and a half or so? Because if not, then I'm gonna stay at home and chill. I have a baby due April 5th, and I've been gone for 2/3 of my girlfriend's pregnancy, and I don't want obviously I'm doing this to pursue my dream of being a world champion and to make it financially better for our family. But I don't want to keep being I don't want to have to keep being selfish and being away from her. And I know it's not easy for her to be home by herself while she's pregnant, and definitely not easy if she had to have a kid on her own without me being there, But if an opportunity comes up, she's going to understand, and, my son will understand if something major comes up. But I'm not going to be taking those 2-week notice fights against someone unless it's in the top 5. Like, I'm not taking anybody like Chiesa or Kevin Lee or any of these guys are going to want me to fight them on 2 weeks notice or some shit. Well, fuck no. If you're not ranking in the top 5, I'm not taking a 2-week notice fight at this point. We live in a 1-bedroom apartment. We're going to have to move either before or after we have this kid. We're gonna end up having to move into a house. The baby's doing 6 weeks or less, 5 weeks now. So we got I got a lot of stuff on the plate. If Sean says something major may come up, then I'm gonna stay ready. But if he says just chill or whatever, that's what I'm gonna do, and I'm probably gonna fight at the end of the summer.
Well, totally understandable, man. Like you said, you got a family building and a baby on the way. It would only make sense to to take that time to spend with your girl and you know, watch your firstborn come into this world. But you did say something about if Khabib or Tony was to become injured, obviously an opportunity like that, you have to take it regardless of the situation.
100%, and I also that's what I talked about in a couple other videos. Well, I'm gonna straight up ask Sean, is that a possibility? Because the thing is, they already have 3 other guys or 4 other guys on the card that are ranked either below me or right around the same as I am, that are already slated. You got Iaquinta, you got Chiesa, you got Pettis. All these guys are already pretty close to either ranked above me or right beside me. They're already on the card, so why would I get to fight over them? I don't know. That's why I'm going to ask Sean if that's even a possibility. If he says no, then I'm going to be like, okay, I understand. You know, I'm just going to chill. And if he says it is a possibility, regardless of who's on the card, then I'm going to keep my ass ready. So it's just according to what feedback I get from him.
For sure, man. Planning for the future like a true veteran and a professional. But out of all these guys that you've talked about recently, which one would you like to fight the most?
I don't have anything personal against any of them. I mean, obviously, I would like a rematch with Chiesa because he beat me 6 years ago in the Ultimate Fighter. But personally, I don't have anything against these guys. But I would like to fight the highest ranked one possible. Whoever is ranked the highest is who I would love to get. And I'd like to fight the guy ranked the highest above me. That way, I can fucking skip the ladder and fucking get me a win and move right into a world title fight.
For sure, man, for sure. So listen, changing gears here for a moment on a lighter note, tell us about the experience of competing in Austin. I'd imagine the crowd had a ton of love for you, and it was a great experience for you overall.
Yeah, it was great. It felt so good coming out in the tunnel there and seeing all the people screaming and, you know, just coming out, giving everyone a high five. And then I walked down to the cage, and I didn't realize how good the tickets the UFC had given me were, but I saw my mom. My mom was right there cage side, and I got to give my mom a big hug and a kiss before I stepped up in the ring in the cage, and it was a great time. You know, I have good memories of the Frank Irwin Center because back when I was in high school, I played in a couple of summer league basketball tournaments there, so we would go down there for like 3 or 4 days at a time, and we played like 10 games there, and at the Frank Irwin Center there, and I just have good memories of there, and I love fighting in my state, and it just felt like a homecoming.
Yeah, I was just about to say homecoming. You took the words right out of my mouth, man. I know you really wanted to headline this card, but aside from that, and all of the controversy leading up to that, you know, how upset you were over it, what did you think of the main event?
You know, I thought Yancey looked good. I thought he got caught. I thought Cerrone looked good considering, but I thought, you know, Cerrone looked like a 35-year-old man in there. He looked older. He looked slower. He looked like he really don't belong at 170. He looked, you know, a little bit, you know, soft around the midsection, I guess. No, I mean, not necessarily, but you know what I mean. Like, he didn't look like he was a natural 170. Yancey looked a little more filled out than him to me, but you know, Yancey got caught, and Cerrone did a good job. His straight punches looked good. His boxing, you know, Cerrone's boxing looked better than usual. You know, it looked like he'd been working on his hands a little more and stuff. He didn't throw as many kicks, and he was more, you know, content with boxing. I guess that's maybe because Yancey's pretty, you know, similar height and, you know, with the reach and everything, I guess. But you know, overall, I thought it was a good main event.
Yeah, all over a good card as well. But, you know, Cowboy's talking about moving back down to lightweight. Is that a fight that would interest you at this point?
I mean, yeah, of course it would because of his name value. But if the UFC asks me to fight him, I'm going to tell him to pay me. Right. Because, I mean, he's still not ranked above me. I mean, you know, he's still not ranked. Now, I'm sure he comes back and wins one fight. They'll rank him in the top 10 because of who he is, just like they did Pettis. You know, Pettis is beat a 40-year-old Jim Miller, and they ranked him in the top 15. You know, when he's 2 and he was 2 and 4 at that time in the last 6 fights, and now he's like 3 and 5 or some shit in his last few fights. But so I'm sure, you know, Cerrone came back there to immediately rank him right once he won a fight. So obviously for name value I would, but I'm not gonna fight an unranked person. I don't care who their name value is unless they're paying me more money.
That only makes sense, man. And
I'm about to be 31 years old this week. On Friday's my birthday. I'm going to be 31 years old. Now, I don't feel old at all. I started this gained weight. I feel young as shit. I feel like I'm in my athletic prime. But at the same time, the older you get, I mean, the UFC's hardly promoting me now, so the older you get, it's even harder to get promoted. So I'm not gonna fight someone, for the same damn pay unless they're ranked above me or there's a scenario that makes sense.
For sure, man, and I think that you've earned the right to negotiate that way. But side note here, you mentioned it yourself. You got the birthday coming up this week. You got a baby coming after that, man. What are you doing to celebrate for the birthday this weekend?
I'm actually, me and my friends, my girl and a couple of my friends are gonna go eat, dinner and stuff. But then I'm gonna go wild hog hunting with one of my other friends, my buddy in his land. I'm gonna go hunting. I love hunting, and I when I'm back home in Texas, I try to go once a week, and so that's what I'm gonna do.
Cool, man. Awesome. All right, so listen, all the talk of Chiesa, Lee, Gaethje, Poirier. I mean, some people are even saying an Edson Barboza fight makes a lot of sense for you. Honestly, man, the list goes on for guys that you should be fighting and could be fighting. Whoever it may be, I hope that you certainly get what you deserve, brother. If not this year, you've got to be challenging for the title in 2019 if all goes to plan, right?
Yes, sir. It's going to be this year. Spoke that into existence. And I'm a big believer in the law of attraction, and by the end of the year, I will be a world champion.
All right, man. I have no doubt, and I certainly look forward to all the future has in store for you. You said you wanted to get back to it maybe early summertime?
Yeah, depending on the situation, yeah. But yeah, I probably we'll try to fight at the end of July, beginning of August. Be home with the baby, my girl, and moving to a new place, and just get everything situated before I leave to go to camp.
Absolutely, man. Congratulations on all of it, the baby, the win, the birthday, the new place, all these things. It sounds like you're finally building up to where you deserve to be, and I'm very happy for you, man. Let's wrap this up. In conclusion, call out anybody you want to call out, address the fans, let us all know what we need to expect the next time you compete.
I'm not even gonna call any of these clowns that I've called them all out. I mean, do I need to name them all again? I mean, really, I'm coming for a world title this year, 2018. I'm gonna be a world champion. Everyone, please go follow me on my social medias. James Vick MMA. That's Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. All three. James Vick MMA. Go follow me. My next fight, I'm coming. I'm gonna do what I do, and I'm gonna get another win. I don't know who I'm gonna fight. Hopefully, someone ranked quite a bit above me. If not, then whatever. I don't care. I'm going to be a world champion before the end of the year, and I'm going to keep fighting, and I'm going to keep performing, and just I'm going to be progressing. And every time you see me, I'm going to be bringing new stuff to the table and getting better.
All right, man. Again, greatly appreciate the time. Congratulations on everything you got going for you. Certainly look forward to speaking again soon, and all the opportunities that are certainly on their way for you, man. Have a wonderful time hunting for the birthday. We'll catch up again soon. And again, thank you very much, brother.
Thank you, sir.
Fired up as always. Birthday around the corner. Baby on the way. A lot of things going on for James Vick right now. Coming off another big win. I'm sure all of you would agree that the guy deserves a higher ranked guy, top 10, somebody take the fight with James Vick. You guys have heard him talk about his frustrations with all of this several times on this show. I won't get into that too much, but you heard us talk about it. There comes a time where you cannot be denied any longer, and I think we are approaching that point, if not there already. So that's it for tonight, guys. I'm not going to keep rambling. BJPenn.com radio, episode 71. Big thank you to everybody who joined us this evening. Big thank you to all of Team Penn. Everybody on the squad, you know who you are. Like I told you in the beginning of the broadcast, make sure you follow us on all the social media, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Google+, you name it. Get on there, set up notifications, get news before everybody else does. If it's breaking, if it's viral, if it's a hot topic, and tons of exclusive content to go along with that, BJPenn.com. Everything that you crave from the sport that you love in mixed martial arts, we have got you covered, guys. I'm your host, Jay Kinch. Have a wonderful evening. Catch us next week. Hopefully be a Wednesday, maybe a Thursday. Who knows? But we'll have another great show for you guys next week. Make sure you tune in. Subscribe and share this podcast. Much love, Penn Nation. Peace out.